Part 3.
What's going on, man? This is the Low Key Cave, Keyshawn Knobs YouTube page, aka Mr. Low Key. We back with some more retro movie reviews, and we going back into horror. This time, we got one of my favorites, and this is actually one of the best rated Nightmare on Elm Streets. And of course, what I'm talking about is a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. As far as in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, this is one of the higher rated movies. Besides, of course, the first one, which is, I think, the top highest rated of the Nightmare on Elm Street movie franchise. But on Rotten Tomatoes, this one is like at a 72%. But another reason why this movie is a special movie, it came out in 1987. I was born in 1987. So, you know what I'm saying? It was like, what a coincidence that I love. This is one of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies from Freddy Krueger. So, hey, I got to get into it, and yeah, I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can see it. Of course, I got the head on representing. Of course, I got on my little Freddy Krueger shirt. So yeah, we definitely diving deep. This is one of my favorite horror movie characters. He's one of my favorite horror movie villains. I think he has some of the more creative styles of kills. I ain't here saying I like to see people get killed or whatnot. I'm talking about as far as in horror movies. I'm talking about what you expect when you go to see a horror movie. I'm a horror movie fan. As far as horror movies go, they like my favorite genre of movie besides like some action and sci-fi. But when I want to dive into one of the ones I feel like are the best in the franchise. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that, but for one of those reasons are, not only do you enjoy these characters a lot more, I feel like, but you have Nancy returning from the first one. You know what I'm saying? Our first survivor of Freddy Krueger. And one thing about Freddy Krueger that's outside of, you know, Jason, Michael Myers, Texas Chainsaw is they have legit reasons Freddy can come back to back in these sequels. Like, he's pretty much already dead. He's a spirit. So, I mean, he's invading people's dreams. He's not even actually in the real world. Sometimes he gets in, whatnot. You know, in the movie, in the couple sequels, he done got in the real world, you know. But anyway, that's the thing about Freddy. When you have characters like Jason, Michael Myers, who are practically, I ain't gonna say human, I guess they human slash like monster, I don't know, man. But you got these people who get shot. They in the real world, basically. They can get shot, get shot. They can get decapitated. Like, all this stuff can happen to electrocuted, set on fire, all this stuff, and they still be coming back. And you're like, okay, man, what's going on? With Freddy, it's like this is in a spirit that's invading people's dreams. So that's one of the things that I really also like about Freddy. It's just having that nostalgia as far as his style of not only kills, but just the way he's able to come back. Because technically you can't kill him. Like I said, he's already dead. He's a spirit. So I want to dive into Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. One of the reasons I enjoy this movie a lot more is because you actually care about these characters. I did personally. You had, like I said, Nancy coming in. You have Lawrence Fishburne in this, a young Lawrence Fishburne, who's playing one of the caretakers for these kids. And before I even dive into these characters, this whole plot, if you haven't seen Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, the movie came out in 1987, you basically got a psychiatric hospital that's filled with, I'm going to say, teens, pre-adult teens or whatnot, and they're basically put in this hospital because their parents feel like they're on somewhat suicide watch, or they've done stuff to hurt themselves, and they always basically trying to stay awake because they keep having these dreams about Freddy Krueger. So you had these group of teens that's in this psychiatric hospital. Excuse me, can't get the words out. Like, I'm gonna say it once again, man. I just got off work. I get out work and I come straight in here and try to get on here for my subscribers, man. So excuse me if I'm throwing it a little on and off, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to get through this. But back to my review. You have these group of preteens, and I'm going to say pre-adult teens or whatnot. I feel like they're a lot older. You know how they cast these so-called teens, and they don't look like teens. They basically look like adults. But you got these preteen adults that's in the psychiatric hospital for, I guess, like suicide watch or whatnot, not hurting themselves or whatnot, because they basically are afraid to go to sleep because of Freddy Krueger. And basically, parents don't know what else to do because they don't believe. You know how the movies go. The kids tell them this and then the third in these horror movies. The parents don't believe them. Don't nobody believe them. No adults gonna believe them or whatnot. So what really made this interesting was having Nancy come back in, and she actually was like telling the kids or whatnot, because like I said, Nancy is from the first one. I can't remember the woman's name. I know her first name is Heather, but Heather something plays Nancy. She comes into the hospital. I don't know if I forgot what her character comes in as. I think she comes in as a counsel. Yeah, I think she comes in as a counselor or something like. And she basically is telling these kids, like, y'all are not alone. I've had to deal with this too before. I know this guy you talking about. And you have this one particular scene. Like, I feel like Freddy was started to become a gimmick in the sequels. Like this funny guy, kind of like Chucky, started to become funny. From the first one, Freddy was he had the creep factor that kind of was had made you afraid of him. You know what I'm saying? And in this one, you kind of get that reminiscing back from that first one of getting that fear. Because like I said, man, if you ever had that feeling where you sleep and can't move or something, I feel like everybody's had that feeling or that moment they went through where you just feel like you stuck and you can't get up from a dream or something, man. And when you're watching a movie like this about a guy that can invade your dreams, you trying to wake, you can't wake up, this and that and the third, and if you die in the dreams, you die in real life, that brings a real fear to the movie and brings a real fear to this villain. And I mean, he has his gimmicks of things he's saying or whatnot, but he has a real terror he brings to him as far as Freddy Krueger, when he's basically toying with you, knowing he's going to kill you in your dreams, and you're going to wake up and you're going to be dead too. So that is a major, I feel like a fear alone, just saying, oh man, what if I go to sleep and something like that was to happen, you know what I'm saying? And then you have Freddy Krueger coming in to these teens' dreams all the time, at all times, anytime he wants to. And then you started to basically get into a realm of kids starting to die. So you come into this psychiatric hospital and you got these kids in here and they telling you like they having these dreams or whatnot. Then you start to have these points and they dying, and then that's where you get to the point where you like, oh, they are committing suicide. And you're like, how are they commit suicide? And you got them on basically somewhat 24-hour watch, maybe. I have to go back. It's been a minute since I watched this movie, man. I should have went back and actually watched it before I did this review, but like I said, I feel like I have a good memory of it because it ain't too long ago I watched this. But if I'm not mistaken, like I said, they are pretty much under a 24-hour watch, I think. Maybe not, but you have these moments where they're able to get out their rooms or whatnot, because Freddy invades their dreams and he basically making them do certain things. You had this one scene with this girl watching TV because she's trying to keep herself up. She's just trying to stay up. And then Freddy Krueger come on the TV and she get closer and closer to the TV, and basically she done fell asleep and he just popped out the goddamn TV and put her head through the TV. And when the counselors come in, they basically think she done jumped up there and hit. I mean, that's the thing. I'm gonna say that one thing, man. You see how high that goddamn TV was, and you see how short this girl is. Like, how in the hell did she jump up there? I mean, what they think she's? I don't. If I'm not mistaken, in that scene, you didn't see no couch slid over there, nothing. It was just her hanging up there out the TV with her head in there. And I don't know about everybody else, but when that scene happened, it is kind of, I ain't gonna say it's funny, but it's like, it's kind of a silly scene. But when they find her like that, it was like, oh shit. It was kind of, for me, it was kind of creepy, because it's like, oh shit, they really dying. Like, that was the thing. It's like, these people are really dying. And you have this guy here, he's making you laugh or whatnot because of the shit he's just playing with these kids, but at the same time, he's basically toying with them. Like I said, he's killing them. Like, he's really killing them, and he's getting a joy out of that. And that to me is a terror, and that's a fear, and that what makes what makes Freddy Krueger scary in this movie is him doing the things he's doing, the things he's saying. And then you have Nancy coming in, and to me, that's where you have Freddy basically almost say getting extra excited because he has that one that got away from him. So then you basically have a movie where you have one person that's believing all of them and everybody else don't believe them. And if you know these movies, like, I mean, I feel like these was one of those early movies that always did that, where you know you have the people telling you the kids telling the adults something, they don't believe them, and then you have that one person coming in and might believe them, and then that person, you know, they tell that person to leave, get out of here, you are doing this in the third, and you know how it goes, and that person had to come back and try to save them or whatnot. And that's pretty much how this one goes, where you have Nancy basically trying to tell them, like, listen, these dreams are not fake, these are real, these kids are really dying in these dreams, and they dying in real life. And then you have basically the, you know, the other I'm not the council, but the other caretakers, then the other doctors that's over the psychiatric hospital, basically telling her, no, you are messing with their minds, you giving them a false belief or whatnot. So, and then another thing that's interesting with this movie that I'm not gonna forget on is you have Nancy's father from the first one also coming in this movie. And like I said, this movie came out in 1987, man. This can't be no spoilers. It's certain scenes with him and Nancy that also makes this movie a good horror movie. It's not just a gimmick horror movie. It's not just a bunch of people getting slashed and killed. Like I said, you care about these characters, and you have really good scenes with Nancy and her daddy, and him doing certain things, and him actually making an ultimate sacrifice, like to try to save not only Nancy but some of these kids. And you have a really silly ass scene with this skeleton and Freddy Krueger. Like that shit's silly. That ain't scary. I'm sorry, that shit was not scary at all. It was real silly, man. But one of the things I actually enjoyed too with the kids, when they start doing certain things in the dreams, when like they basically are trying to combat Freddy. Like Nancy is trying to give them certain things they feel like they can do in their dreams. Like, this is your dream. She basically tells them this is your dream. So certain things you also can control too. It's just Freddy is invading your dreams. So she's basically giving them like certain things they can do in their dreams, like giving them certain powers, certain things they all feel like they can do that they can't do in the real world, they can do in their dreams. And to be honest, some of them things kind of work out, and some of those things are actually harmful to these kids in their dreams when they try to do those things. And Freddy actually turns it around on some of them. So that's another thing that makes Freddy so terrifying, is his manipulation. Because like I said, these are dreams we are talking about. So the certain things you feel like you can control in that dream. You have a guy that's basically a dream master, a dream king or whatnot. And that's basically a guy that's always in the dreams. It's a spirit that's always doing certain things. So when you have these preteens or pre-adults starting to try to formulate a plan to stop him in the dreams, you have him manipulating so many situations, because like I said, he's been in this world for so long. As far as this dream world, he basically runs this place. So anything they try to do, he almost basically counteracts it. He basically manipulates any situation that they try to get out of when they're doing these things with these dreams, as far as trying to fight back against him. And that's where Nancy comes in, and that's why she's one of my favorite characters. Not just as far as in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, but she actually is in this franchise 3 times. If you know Wes Craven's New Nightmare, you know you had them. And that's another thing, Wes Craven doesn't direct this movie, but you had, I think if I'm not mistaken, he did executive producer. He might even did a little writing on this, but I know it was another director. Wes Craven did not direct this movie. And this is, when you watch this movie, if you ever watch movies like Scream and stuff, you see so many of those elements in this. And there's no Kevin Williams with this, as far as these teens and them having to deal with the situation and them people not believing them. You see how Wes Craven basically took so many of those elements out with these movies that he did early on and put them in movies like Scream. So that's another thing that I think I enjoy a lot about this movie, because later on, watching a movie like Scream, you're like, oh, okay, I see those Nightmare on Elm Street elements and all of those. And him even having those movies mentioned, when you have Scream having to name the horror movies or whatnot. But as far as a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, it's just so many good things that come with this, and it's not like, just like I said, a throwaway horror movie like so many of the Friday the 13th movies are. You talking about throwaways where you basically, like, Jason is the main character in those horror movies. Like, there's no character development, there's nothing. You just have him coming on, killing counselors at a camp. That's it. Then you have so many different characters coming on each movie. You're not even building on nothing. That's why you enjoy a Nightmare on Elm Street movie franchise so much, because you have sequels where certain characters he end up coming back, just like the movie after this, which like damn, like they just basically threw motherfuckers in a grinder on the movie that on the Nightmare on Elm Street 4, because it's like damn, you had all these survivors or whatnot. But as far as the Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, I just feel like they didn't just come in and just wanted to throw Freddy in and have him just killing a bunch of people and that's it. They gave a lot of development to characters in the movie, and they gave development to Freddy and made him more menacing again from that part 2. If you ever seen Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, especially coming off that first one where he was a straight up menace. Like he was terrifying. Like him down there in that boiler room and him talking and doing what he was doing, staying in the shadows a little bit. Almost like some Steven Spielberg Jaws type shit where you weren't really seeing him. He was just staying back and you were just getting this stories about him or whatnot. So with this, and you have this psychiatric hospital and you have people not believing these kids or whatnot, it just gives it so much more balance as far as caring about the characters, because you like, oh man, I wish y'all believed them, because we see what they going through. We know they having these dreams, and we see them dying in these dreams, and they dying in real life. So we are starting to care about these characters, and that's character development. So that's why I enjoy this movie a lot more. Not only that, having Nancy, one of the characters we enjoyed from the first one, coming back, and she ends up making a sacrifice too in this movie. And that's another thing. You had characters that died that you think, oh my god, they took this character out, they killed this character that you would think would die in certain horror movies like this. So that's another thing you get with Wes Craven in Scream. You got the beginning of Scream and him just taking out characters, and him taking out main characters that's big names or that survive like in the sequels or whatnot. For example, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. It's certain survivors from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, the one I'm reviewing now, that died at the beginning of A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. That you like, what? Whoa, what's going on? This was a main character and whatnot. So you see how Wes Craven always kept that certain urgency of knocking off big characters that you think like, okay, we don't know what's going to happen. And that's what he did, I feel like, with this one. Letting people survive that you didn't expect, and actually taking out people that you thought was going to make it to the end of the movie. But I really just wanted to give my opinion and give my joy for this movie. Like I said, I enjoy horror movies, but this is one of my favorite ones, especially in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I feel like they just have more good stories and better sequels than them other ones. Like I said, they did differ off, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, Freddy started to become a gimmick. He was more funny than scary than a lot of those other sequels, but they still had better characters in those sequels, other than like the Friday the 13th or the Halloweens. Even with Halloween, I feel like had a little bit better sequels than the Friday the 13th. Just was about Jason killing people, and that was it. Halloween kind of went like that route too, because you never really some of those sequels had certain characters coming back. I guess you might care about, I don't know, but with this one in particular, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, I just feel like you not only get good character development, we get a good villain out of Freddy Krueger, making him terrifying again. And not only that, we get some good backstory on certain characters as far as Nancy and her daddy, and that good character development, her coming back from that first A Nightmare on Elm Street. I just, like I said, wanted to give my review and my opinion on one of my favorite nostalgia horror movies. This is a retro review. I want y'all to leave y'all comments in the comment section. Give me some of y'all favorite throwback horror movies that y'all like. Give me some of y'all favorite ones that I maybe haven't seen that I might need to go check out. It's a lot of ones out there. You got Critters. You got maybe, is it any other like main characters like a Leatherface or Jason? Is it any other of those type of characters out there that maybe I haven't seen or heard of that's in the horror franchise I would like to know about? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is the road to 100 subs, man. We out.